Thank you for coming today. We have a story about Jesus. Is everybody ready to listen to a story about Jesus?
Yes.
You might have heard this story and you might not have, but Jesus has just healed a man who had a demon inside of him. Have you heard that story? This is right after that, and Jesus crossed over on a ship to the other side of the lake, okay? And he was very near to the sea. And do you know what happened everywhere Jesus went? A lot of people followed him everywhere he went. Why do you think people followed Jesus around? Yes.
Because he had the power to heal people and bring them back to life.
Okay. Yes. Because he was the king? They didn't all know that, though. Okay. Yes, ma'am? He was a good person. Okay.
And they wanted to ask him a lot of questions.
You're right. They did want to ask him a lot of questions. Well, they saw him do a lot of miracles. And so people followed him. So it was very crowded. Have you ever been in a crowd where there's lots and lots of people and it's hard to walk because there's so many people? That's how it was around Jesus all the time. He had lots of people around him and they're always kind of bumping into him and following him around. There was one man who was a ruler of the synagogue. Sometimes we say his name is Jairus. And if he was the ruler of the synagogue, that meant it was his job, like to open the doors and close the doors and make sure that the synagogue was like a church. So he had to make sure that it got cleaned and he had to make sure that all the people were there at the right time. So he was in charge like of the building. Okay. So everybody would have known this man. Okay. He would have been someone that the people at the synagogue knew. So Jairus had heard about Jesus. And when he saw him, he came and fell down at his feet. Why would he do that? What do you think?
Because he wanted him to do for him a favor.
Yes, you're absolutely right. He wanted him to do him a favor. And he said, my little daughter is dying. She's lying down. She's almost dying. And I'd like for you to come and lay hands on her and heal her so that she will live. Now, how do you think this guy got through the crowd to come see Jesus? There's so many people. How do you think he got there? Yes.
Told people to move.
You think he told people to move? What do you think?
Climb the tree and then jump up.
That's a different guy that climbed a tree. Do you think maybe that this man had some connections? Maybe he knew some of the people that hung out with Jesus? Maybe? What do you think? You think so? Maybe so. Since he was the ruler of the synagogue, maybe somebody knew him and they could get him in to see Jesus. Yes?
Maybe he was Jesus' disciples' father or cousins.
Related to somebody? He might have been related to somebody. Did you have something? No? Okay. So he came to Jesus. He asked him to come heal his daughter, and Jesus went with him. And on the way, there's all these people following Jesus, and they're bumping into Jesus. It says they're thronging him. Do you know what that means? What does that mean, thronging? Yeah, they're pushing him around. There's so many people, and they're following him everywhere, and they're bumping into him. Well, there's another lady there, and I don't think she knew any of the people that are around there. And she had been sick for 12 years, okay? She had something wrong with her blood, and she had been bleeding for 12 years. And they had a rule back then that if you were bleeding like this, you weren't supposed to come around other people because they thought you were contagious and you were sick and you might make other people sick. And so she wasn't supposed to be there in the crowd. And she had gone to many, many doctors. And she spent all of her money on doctors. Are doctors sometimes expensive? Sometimes. Yeah, sometimes they are. So she spent all of her money on the doctors, but she didn't get better. In fact, she got worse. So the doctors didn't know how to help her. And now she doesn't have any money. And she's sicker than she was before. Yes.
If the doctors couldn't help her, why she not take the money back?
Doctors don't give your money back. It doesn't work like that. Doctors don't give your money back if it doesn't work. Oh, yes.
Before she went to the doctor, why didn't she just go to Jesus?
Well, maybe she didn't know about him before that. I think she's been spending her money like for several years. And Jesus is only recently come to her town. So she heard about Jesus, though, which answers your question. And when she heard about him, she came in from all the people. So she had to squeeze her way through all these people, right? and she's trying to squeeze in. She's trying to get to Jesus because she said, if I can just touch him, then I'll be healed. Now, what we believe is that Jesus, he was a rabbi. So the rabbis of the day were kind of like your preachers, okay? And he would have worn these special clothes. They had these special capes that they wore around, and they had these little things hanging off of them, like little tassels. Yes.
Towels that those Indian people wear.
Kind of like that. Not exactly a towel, but kind of like a scarf, kind of, but like a man, like a scarf for a man.
It's like almost like a dress.
Kind of, yeah. But they had these little things hanging off of them, like little tassels. And they had a special name for these little tassels, and they were called tzitzit. That was what they called them. And the special name for the things that hung off of his arms, sometimes they would call them wings, okay? So he had these special little things hanging on him, and the little tzitzit things were made out of so many threads, and then they had little knots in them, and they represented all the laws. Do you remember a man named Moses who wrote down all these laws? These little tassels represented the laws that were in the Bible. So Jesus would have been wearing this thing. So this lady said, if I can just touch him, I'm going to be well. So she came up behind him, and some of the pictures for this story show the lady like touching his clothes at the bottom, but I don't think she touched his clothes at the bottom, because if she got down on the ground, what would have happened to her with all these people?
She might have been injured.
She might have been injured very badly. So I think she probably reached over and grabbed his shirt, the little cape right here, and she touched those little things. So as soon as she touched him, what happened?
She got healed.
She got healed? Is that what you were going to say? Okay. So she got well, and she knew she was well, and she knew that she was healed. And Jesus felt power go out of him. I don't know what that feels like, but he felt something leave, maybe like, like electricity or something. So he felt power go out of him, and he turned around and he said, who touched me? Are lots of people touching Jesus? Yes. What do you think? No, what do you think?
Yes.
Yeah. I think a lot of people are touching Jesus because they're bumping into him, and there's all these people crowding around him. But did they all get healed?
Yeah.
No. Why did this lady get healed?
Because she touched
The things hanging down. Yeah, that, and what do you think? Because she believed. You're right. She got healed because she believed. What do you think?
Because she believed in the Lord.
Mm-hmm. She believed in him. So Jesus said, who touched me? And his disciples looked at him and said, what do you mean, who touched you? There's all these people around you. There's all these people bumping to you, and you're going to ask, who touched you? Everybody touched you. And Jesus looked around because he knew that power had gone out of him, and he looked around to find the person who'd done this. And the lady was scared. Would you be scared?
Yes.
You wouldn't be scared? But you would be scared? Why would you be scared?
Scared because I think that he's going to take back his powers.
Maybe she did think that. Maybe she thought he would take her healing back. Or maybe she thought she would get in trouble because she wasn't supposed to be around people because she had the sickness. And maybe she thought she might get in trouble. What? Nothing? Okay. So the lady was scared, but she came down and she fell down in front of him and told him the truth. Okay. She said, here's what happened. I was sick. I thought all I needed to do was just touch you. Did Jesus get mad? No, he didn't get mad at all. In fact, he called her a daughter. So it's kind of like a term of affection, a term of endearment. And he's saying kind of like, you're part of the family. He's calling her part of God's family when he said that to her. And he said, daughter, your faith has made you whole. Go in peace and be well. So is this lady healed?
Yes.
Yes, she is. Okay, but hold on. Where is Jesus on his way to? But he's going somewhere. Where's he going?
To the man who did ask Jesus that to go heal her.
Right. So do you think that guy might be in a hurry?
Yes.
Why would he be in a hurry?
Because his daughter is about to die.
His daughter's about to die. But while he's still talking to the lady, somebody came from Jairus' house, and they came to tell Jairus what happened, the ruler of the synagogue. And they said, you know what? don't trouble Jesus anymore. Don't trouble the master anymore. Your daughter is already dead. Now, if you were this man, what might you be thinking?
And I would be thinking to go bury it or pray for her.
To go bury her? Okay. What would you be thinking? Panicking? Okay.
I would go to Jesus and ask him to go look at my daughter and heal her.
Would you? Okay. Do you think maybe he might have been thinking if we hadn't stopped that my daughter would be okay? Maybe? You don't think so? What do you think? No? Yeah, he might have been thinking maybe we could talk to the lady later. Maybe we need to hurry up and go see my daughter. You think that might be what he was thinking? So they came and they said, don't trouble him. Your daughter's already dead. But did you know that your words are really, really important? Did you know that your words are so, so important? Yeah, what you say is very important. And as soon as Jesus heard the words when they said, your daughter is dead, he said to Jairus, he said, don't be afraid, only believe. I don't think he wanted Jairus to say anything else, to not say, don't worry about it, she's already dead. He said, don't be afraid and only believe. So he doesn't want him to think about anything else. Don't think about her funeral. Don't think about how we're going to bury her. Don't think about how she's in a happier place. Just only what? Believe, right? Okay. So at this point, Jesus wouldn't let anybody else come. He said, I want all of y'all to stay here. He only let Peter and James and John go with him. And there's a lot of times in the Bible when Jesus takes Peter and James and John with him, and he told everybody else to go home. And he said, no, you can't come. I'm just going to take Peter and James and John. So they went on and they came to this man's house, to Jairus' house. And everybody's upset. Everybody's crying. Have you been to like a funeral? Okay. Everybody's really sad because she just died and everybody's crying. And back then they would have people come play sad music when somebody died. So they had brought their instruments there and they were playing their sad music and everyone was crying and not just crying, they were wailing and weeping and and just really, really upset. Yes. Wailing is crying really loud, really hard crying. So Jesus walks in there and he said, why are you crying? And they're laughing at him. And they're like, what do you mean, why are we crying? And so they got upset. And it said, because he said, she's not dead, she's sleeping. And when he said she was sleeping, they all started laughing and making fun of Jesus. Okay. So he put them all out. He made everybody leave. So Jesus only took her mother and her father and Peter, James, and John, and he went in there where the little girl was lying down. And he said to her, we can interpret it, and it means, little girl, get up. And as soon as he said that, what did she do? Yes. She got up, yes? Is that what you're going to say? Yeah. As soon as he said that, she got up and she walked because she was 12 years old and everybody was surprised because they were all there to cry, right? They were all there to be really upset and they were all surprised. And then Jesus also told them not to tell anybody. Now, if your daughter died and then Jesus raised her from the dead, would you tell somebody? You wouldn't? Would you tell somebody?
Yes.
I would tell somebody. Would you tell somebody? Would you tell somebody? Okay. Yes. Yeah? What about you?
Sound of not bad.
If they told you not to, you wouldn't? Okay. What about you?
I would tell everyone.
Everybody. Okay. What do you think?
Jesus told me not to tell anyone. I would tell.
You wouldn't tell anyone? Okay. I'm guessing that they probably told some people and maybe they did like you did and said, Jesus told me not to, but there was a lot of people there. And so I bet that some of the people there probably went and told everybody what happened. He also told them to give her something to eat. But what I want to show you is every story in the Bible is connected somehow in some way. So if Jesus is doing something in the New Testament when he came, it's telling us something that happened in the Old Testament, because the Old Testament tells us things that Jesus was going to do and things that were going to happen. And in the New Testament, Jesus did things that people talked about in the Old Testament. So there's a verse back here in this book of Malachi. Okay. Have you heard of this book of Malachi? It's the last page of the Old Testament, the very last page. Okay. But it tells us that for those of you that fear my name, what does that mean, to fear the name of God? Yes.
They're just scared of calling out God's name out loud in a loud voice for useless things.
For useless things. Okay. To fear him doesn't mean we have to be afraid of him. It means we need to respect him and honor him and treat him with respect. So it says, for those of you that fear my name, the Son of Righteousness, that's another way of calling Jesus, it says he will arise with healing in his wings. Okay. Remember I told you these things on his arm were called wings. Okay. And it says there was healing in his wings. So do you think that lady knew this verse? You don't think so? What do you think? You don't think so? What do you think?
I think she believed. She said, I am gonna be healed if I touch this man.
I think she said that, but I think that maybe she said that because maybe she read this verse and maybe she knew that these were called wings. And she thought, if I can just touch the edge of his clothes and I can touch those little things hanging off of his clothes, because she knew this verse and she knew that she would be healed. So some interesting things about the story is that the little girl was 12 and the lady had been sick for 12 years. So sometimes things in the Bible kind of balance each other out. And sometimes they mean something else that we might not understand yet. And sometimes we have to pray to help God to give us the understanding. Yes.
What is the title of the story?
The title of the story, I called it Only Believe, because I liked it when Jesus said, don't be afraid, just believe, only believe, because he didn't want him to do anything else. He didn't want him to speak anything that would go against her healing. Because did you know that sometimes if we have doubt, then it can block the receiving healing. Okay, yes, ma'am.
Okay, I want to ask if was Jesus healed it? Did they thank him?
Did they thank him? You know what? That's a good question. It doesn't tell us if they thanked him. I think the lady might have thanked him, maybe. She told him the truth. There is no record of anybody thanking him about this story, but there are some other stories that people tell him thank you, but nobody said anything in this story. Maybe they did thank him. I hope they did. Okay, so what do you think is the message we should take away from the story? What do you think?
To always believe.
Okay, to always believe. Okay, yes? Always believe God? Okay. Well, thank you very much for listening to the story. I think we've concluded our story. And so thank you very much for all your questions and for helping me. Thank you so much for watching our videos today. You may check out the website for more information, victoriouslight.org. We have free curriculum available for download in soft copy. Every lesson is about finding Jesus in every story of the Bible, and we invite you to join us and take this material and share it with the children in your community, in your church, and in your schools. Thank you so much.